Well, good morning and welcome back to CityLine. We have gone from parking to recycling. There is a connection there if you think about the environment. With me are two individuals who are here to talk about the recycling revamp that is happening here in Tacoma. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Lewis Griffith. You are the City of Tacoma, with the City of Tacoma Environmental Services, and you are the Division Manager. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. You brought with you Mr. Preston Peck. Good morning, Preston.
Morning.
You are also with the City of Tacoma Environmental Services, and you are a project specialist. Welcome. All right, gentlemen, I want you to put your feet up. Just one. Come on. Okay, shoe cam. This is a well-oiled machine. Do you see these shoes? They almost match, and they didn't know it. When they sat down, I said, "Did you plan the shoes?" And you're like, "What?" You're like, "Oh my God, our shoes." Not to mention the Argyle socks. You get
Appreciate
extra
it.
point, Preston, for
Thank
those.
you.
All right, so let's talk about this because recycling can be confusing, Lewis, I have to tell you. So first off, why are we talking about recycling today? What's up with it?
Well, I think you're right in saying recycling is confusing.
It is.
It's a complicated, a big issue. It
Causes lots of fights in homes.
It does. And really, it's a global industry. So this is not just a Tacoma issue. This is a worldwide issue. And the issue is, in the last year and a half, China has made some changes to their policies about what they will take from the rest of the world in terms of recycling. And prior to that, they were the major importer of recyclables, and now they are not taking a lot of those materials they took before. So the global industry has had to develop and find other markets for those recyclable materials to get recycled.
Wow, I mean, that's certainly an email and a text message you don't want to miss. By the way, China's not accepting a ton of recyclables anymore. So how does that affect us here in Tacoma?
Well, the good news is that the material that we collect in the recycle bin is still getting recycled.
Okay.
So that's the good news.
Good.
But we've had to, our materials go to a contractor that sorts them all out, and they have to find markets.
Right.
And so now China's not taking them, so they've had to find markets in India, Malaysia, other Asian countries, and the impact to us is the cost.
I was going to say that's time, and time equals money.
And it's more expensive to ship it.
You bet.
So there's shipping costs, there's more expense to those markets. So the impact to us is really about the cost of the program.
Okay, so we're going to hear more about that in a second. So Preston, so how is the city updating their residents and also gathering input about what to do next? Because this is, it's something you definitely want to be aware of when you open up your bill and go, why is the recycling so much?
Exactly, yeah. The city council and leadership in the city would really like to see customers involved and residents involved in the process here. So earlier this year we started that process and are looking at a variety of methods, community outreach meetings, focus groups, surveys. We've also revamped our website as well so that people can stay up to date on the changes. If they go to www.tacomarecycles.org/changes, that outlines a lot of the changes that the city's looking at, how you can get involved, as well as our survey, which we would appreciate more people taking so that we can try to get as broad input as possible.
Absolutely. So get to the website. It seems like that's where you need to be to keep yourself updated. And I'm sure there are updates that you can sign up for that you can also get into your mailbox. If I know the City of Tacoma, they're very efficient.
Yes, we have on the website, if you take the survey, there's an option to opt in into email updates as well. So that would be one way that you can stay up to date on some changes.
Absolutely, because if you're someone who owns a lot of apartments and suddenly that recycling is going to go up, you want to know about this. So, Lewis, how is the city looking to address the impacts? Because we've done a great job of getting the information out. It's there, but what's going to happen when that first big bill comes?
Well, what we're looking at is the range of options of how much can we maintain the services, what would that cost, are there services that we could reduce or change to try and save some money. So kind of laying out a variety of options, a range of this is how much extra it would cost to maintain this, or this is how much we could save if we cut back on certain things. So
a menu of sorts.
A menu of options.
Yeah.
All of the options are going to cost more than where we are now.
Well, you can't get away from that. China changed their mind, and so it's going to cost more.
Right.
So how is the city, well, first off, when do you expect these changes to happen, Louis?
Well, as Preston described, we're doing outreach in the next month or two, and our hope is to have a recommendation based on that outreach. We'll bring that to the City Council later in the spring, and hopefully implement those changes in the middle of this year, in mid-2019.
Okay, good. So but based upon people, get in there and give them some feedback, because I think that's, I mean, you got to be part of the solution, otherwise you're part of the problem. So if you have something to say about this, and definitely this is your time to say it. So Preston, besides people logging on and signing up for updates, how can our residents help during this transition?
The main thing that we want in the immediate is some input on these proposed options that Louis was discussing.
Okay.
But beyond that, this problem is related a lot to the quality that we were sending to China. So we really want to encourage residents to recycle right, which means checking our website to make sure the products that you're trying to recycle are actually recyclable within the city's program, as well as making sure that they're clean, empty, and dry products, so that they're not contaminated with food sources, or no jars of tomato sauce left in there,
Exactly.
things like that
Not
might cause
rinsed
problems
out.
for the man. Exactly, exactly.
Exactly. You know, one of the things that surprised me, speaking about recycling and how it's confusing and challenging for everybody in the world, was that paper towels are not recyclable. And I did not know that until my fabulous spouse told me, but it's like, no. And you would think they would be, because you've got the Kleenexes and the napkins over here and the toilet paper, but you're like, but this is not. Yeah, word of the wise. So, Louis, are other cities or countries in the region also experiencing this fluctuating market?
Yes, it's a worldwide issue, and particularly on the West Coast, because we're so close to Asia, and so most of our material did go to China. So there are other jurisdictions have already looked at adding additional costs for their recycle programs.
Yes. So we're all in this together, aren't we? Absolutely. So we have a video that we're going to show after I ask you this question, in the sense of how are some of the more, if we had to say challenging, what are some of the more challenging issues for recycling than others? Where do people kind of just, where do we fall down?
So the big problem is that the material that we put it all in one bin, it has to be sorted back out into the separated materials. So at our recycle center, people separate it out there, but in the material recovery facility where the material we collect in the blue bin goes, it all comes in a big pile. It has to be mechanically sorted into the separate streams, and that's done by shape and by weight of material. So for an example, a milk carton, that needs to be sorted out from the rest of the cardboard because it's coated with wax, and it gets flattened in the truck. It is the same shape, it's the same weight as the rest of the paper products, but it can't be sorted out. So that's a reason why we can't collect milk cartons, the wax-coated milk cartons.
Wow, and in this video, I mean, this is impressive when you think about the recycling of the recycling that has to go on. On the website, are there directions in terms of how to properly recycle that people can print off and perhaps even put up in their homes? Preston?
Yes, so if you go to tacomarecycles.org, there is a full list of things that are accepted in Tacoma's recycling program, as well as some explicit things that are not. So there's some problem items that people may, like you were discussing, paper towels. We explicitly say some of those things that are common, frequently asked questions, and try to address those up front as well. But if they visit that website, they can get all that information.
Outstanding. So if this is a question for both of you, as our time is running short here, if you could tell our viewers one thing today about recycling, what would it be, Louis?
I think the thing to remember is the goal of recycling is for that material to get reused, put into a new product. So it's really important that the right materials go into the bin, and that those materials then have to be sorted out and sent to market. So they need to be clean and dry, and the right materials that go in.
There we go. What would you add to that?
I think with my position being focused on the community outreach portion of this project, I would encourage people to participate in this process and reach out to me if they have questions, so far as either via email or even calling me on the phone if they have questions, checking our website for regular updates so that they can be involved, because these changes will impact people across the city. So we want people to be involved in the process. We want to hear from people and hear what they have to think about the options and things that we may not have thought of that we can then discuss and carry forward in the project.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, this is residential, not commercial. Is that correct? Okay, good.
Correct.
Yeah, because it's, it's now is the time to get in and to look at these options, and if there are meetings you can attend, or if we can bend your ear for a bit, Preston, that's the time to do it before everything is dotted and crossed with the city council. And then, of course, the outcry is, how did I not know about this? So if you're a homeowner here in Tacoma, you definitely want to make sure that you're aware of this information. Gentlemen, thank you so much, both of you, for taking, this is a global issue. This is one of those issues that we've heard about. We kind of thought maybe we could get around it, but we're going to see more and more of these global issues come our way, where we have to find a way to move it around. So thank you so much for the education, the clarity, the tools, and the measurements of success. And I definitely, once this gets kind of rolling and it starts hitting the houses, you two need to come back and give us some feedback on what you've learned, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, temporary sheltering. This is something that we want to talk about right now in terms of those who are homeless. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.